Hi, this is Tisch Aitken, and it is Friday, July 26, 2024. We had that really intense full moon last Sunday at the final degree of Capricorn, and it met up with Pluto at 0 degrees and 52 minutes of Aquarius, and urging us all to let go of what no longer serves us in order to prepare for the future, which is where Pluto is now in Aquarius. Not for much longer. It's going to return to 29 degrees of Capricorn on September 1st, which is exactly where that full moon occurred. That's an anaretic degree, meaning the final degree of a sign, and it will remain, Pluto will remain in Capricorn from September 1st through November 19th, and then it's going to leave forever in our lifetime. And so it really is wrapping up the tail. And bear in mind that that was the second full moon in Capricorn. The first occurred the day after the summer solstice. It was at 1 degree and 7 minutes of Capricorn, defaulting back early into the Pluto and Capricorn story, which commenced in 2008, got to 1 degree approximately in 2009. And this final, well, the second full moon occurred at the final degree of Capricorn, speaking to where Pluto is finishing up its story right now. And that's intense. Major shifts and changes in corporate and political structures, in structures in our own lives. What's no longer working? What's outdated? What's coming up for you? A lot of messages. What is painful to address? And we have Mercury just entered its domicile. It rules both the signs of Gemini and Virgo. And early evening yesterday, Eastern Standard Time, Mercury entered the sign of Virgo. It's going to remain in Virgo on and off through September 26th, so that's quite a while. When it retrogrades in its dignity, which it will next weekend on August 4th, it's going to retrograde at 4 degrees and 7 minutes of Virgo. And then it's going to return to the sign of Leo on August 14th. It stations direct on August 28th at 21 degrees of Leo, 21 degrees, I believe, in 24 minutes. But regardless, it's going to be retrograding in two signs. But when it retrogrades in its dignity, you feel it more acutely, I feel. So, it rules Virgo. And this is an opportunity to reconsider things, reevaluate, return to things. You may have people returning to your life often because Virgo and Gemini deal so much with communication, as does Mercury, obviously. Hearing from people from the past, whether you like it or not, but reassessing in the sign of Virgo. How can you be more organized? How can you work in a more effective manner? How are your health habits? How are you taking care of yourself? We're all extremely exhausted. Neptune is the last degree of the zodiac and of the sign of Pisces, which it does rule. And it's going to be here through September 4th, and it's going to reach this degree again next year on and off, really through February 15th of 2026. So there's a very draining energy at play, a very sensitive energy. That is a fixed star that I've talked ad nauseum, that is connected with self-undoing and depression and shipwrecks in our own lives, or literally being lost at sea or drowning, and drowning in depression perhaps, or in escapism, drugs, and alcohol, however you want to view it. And it can be incredibly creative. This is not a doom and gloom. This is where, if anything, the message is we need the arts and music, creativity, writing, love, compassion, manifestation, meditation, healing modalities more than ever. And we can create dreams. Neptune is in its dignity, but it's not going to be easy. And a lot's coming down in our world. When Pluto returns to Capricorn, many structures will come down inevitably. more people in leadership and, corporate shifts and changes, layoffs or restructuring at companies is inevitable. And so the thing is, August is going to have a lot going on in the middle of the month on the 19th, well, middle end of the month on the 19th. That is going to be the Saturn Jupiter square. That is reconfiguring what we're trying to expand with Jupiter in Gemini. But what are the limitations with Saturn and Pisces? What are we not being realistic of what we want to try to magnetize? And, we've got Mercury retrograde through the end of August, and then we're getting into the onset of eclipse season because our first eclipse is September 18th, and now we're going to be starting the Pisces Virgo eclipses, and that's going to be at 25 degrees of Pisces, setting off where Neptune was up until last year. Neptune was transiting at 25 mutable, 25 degrees of Pisces. So, and that's the prelude to more eclipses because we also have a South Node solar eclipse on October 2nd at 10 degrees of Libra. What are we releasing and letting go? But what I want to advise is really rethinking your strategy right now, because by the end of the year, Mars is going to retrograde in early December, and it will be retrograde. I believe it's the 6th. I'm a little foggy from Neptune, but it's early December through the end of February, and it's going to retrograde in Leo, where Mercury will be returning in the middle of August. It's not going to get, Mercury won't get to the early degrees of Leo, but still, it's retrograding in a sign which rules the heart chakra and what brings you passion and creativity and love and happiness and joy. And Mars retrograde is not a time you want to start new things. You don't want to launch a new business. Not an ideal time to start a new job. Not a good time to buy a car. Male energy might be a little bit off center. When Venus retrogrades, not a good time to make big purchases or get married or change your appearance radically. So Mars only retrogrades once every 2 years, and that will be in early December. We're going to feel it before that. So even though Mercury's retrograde right now, even though the energy is very frenetic, and we're going to have a mutable Grand Cross in the middle of August with a lot of Mars and Venus and Virgo and Jupiter and all of these things, and Saturn and Neptune. But the idea is that we still, even though Mercury's retrograde, sometimes you can start something new with that, because that retrogrades 3 to 4 times a year. What are you going to do? Mars only retrogrades once every 2 years. That's something more to heed. So re-strategizing, rethinking, reconsidering, reassessing, realizing what's not working and what is working with that prelude of Pluto returning to Capricorn. Because again, that's going to happen in our own lives. And so Chiron retrograding at 23 degrees of Aries is setting off, if you recall when Notre Dame happened, that was April 15th of 2019, when the fire happened, that awful fire in Notre Dame in Paris. And that to me was a preview of the Capricorn tale, of the Epic of Capricorn, when Saturn and Pluto would met up at the world point at 22 degrees of the cardinal sign of Capricorn. That is, 22 cardinal is the world point, impacting world events and people on the world stage. And Capricorn dealing very much with businesses, corporations, governments, etc. And that fire, obviously, luckily, Notre Dame did not come down, but many history and art and a lot of scaffolding and repair, a very old Gothic structure. Saturn rules time and very old things. And so the wounds that were going on, because Pluto was close to the world point, retrograded in April at 23 Capricorn. It got as far as 23, and then it retrograded that month. And the south node of karma was close in Capricorn at that time. Now, this Chiron transit setting off the Saturn-Pluto conjunction of January 12th of 2020 within a degree. We're still all healing. We are in PTSD, just like we are after a war. It's been a war on many things, and there's a mental health war, and there are wars going on in the world, obviously. That we are very wounded people right now. We're a very wounded world. I mean, that's a fact, okay? And that's Chiron at the world point. And it's going to retrograde through December 29th, and it will station direct at 19 degrees of Aries. Wow. That was the total solar eclipse on April 8th, 19 Aries, which was conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer, at that time. So we need to work on a lot of healing. Neptune at the last degree of the zodiac is emphasizing mental health issues, focusing on taking care of yourself, restoring and getting rest. We don't have a lot of time to launch new things because with Pluto returning to Capricorn, that's about really getting real, just like this full moon was. What do you need to release and make room for new things? Pluto is going to go back into Aquarius, and that is going to be transforming us in a whole new way for the next 19 years. That's a big deal. The next 20 years, really, but it's a big deal. And so really focusing on that. So I wish you all a lot of luck. Chiron in Aries is about your vulnerability as self. It's often, it's not, it's how you see things, because Aries is the self. Maybe it's not as objective as maybe if we're an Aquarius or another sign that might be more, would intellectualize it, or maybe not as be as self-centered about it. But we all have vulnerabilities and ego vulnerabilities, and that's emphasizing that. But also, are we able to initiate new things? Saturn and Neptune eventually will meet up at the world point at 0 Aries on February 15th of 26. And so what does that mean? Are we losing our autonomy? Are we finding new ways to originate and develop new things as things come down? We're also going to be forming new dreams. It's a really good question. So take time for yourself. It's heavy energy, and it certainly has been for a while, and we can attest to that with last weekend. And good luck to all of you. Take care. Think of what you want to improve in your life. This is a good opportunity. What do you want to heal? Focus on your mental and physical health, and have a good weekend. All right. Thank you.